Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the new Orphix Venom operation dropped by DE that arrived a little bit ahead of schedule before Christmas. We were expecting it to happen next week, but it just ended up dropping today. So what exactly is this event about? Well, it is basically Scarlet Spear 2.0. You're facing these same enemies and the rewards are very similar as well. You still got that standard arcane shop and you're still fighting Conjuxes, or their miniature versions called Orphixes. So the general premise is you need to kill Orphixes to clear the mission. It is an endless mission type where you can extract whenever you feel like. Once the difficulty gets too hard, you cannot true fail the mission, you will always keep your rewards. As once it fails, you just had to extract like a survival. The Orphix is protected by pylons that are similar to the Profit Taker ones that you need to destroy to remove its invulnerability phase. The Orphix spawns these pylons instead of the Sentients that you'd expect during the Scarlet Spear operation. However, Sentients still spawn passively through normal spawn mechanics. The pylons look like ESO Essence, but they're red. You can't crit on them as they are objects, but for some reason they do take level scaling from enemies, so they will become tankier the further you go into the mission. There is a limit to this endurance mode. You max out at 36 Orphixes, but don't fret, it takes quite a while to get this far, averaging a minimum of 55 minutes even in the most optimized runs. There is also a sentient control bar, just like the life support system in survival, but it works in reverse. It goes from 0 to 100%. If it reaches 100%, you cannot progress any further and you need to extract. You keep this down by killing sentients in the area if it gets too high. Now getting back to the Orphixes, they spawn in a designated area in a large tile set and they create an extremely large orange aura. This aura generally takes up the entire tile that they spawn in and it blocks all abilities within it, acting like a nullifier bubble. Any abilities you cast on the outside will not penetrate to the inside. It will also prevent use of your Warframe, forcing you into your operator once you cross the boundary. The only other entity that you can use inside of this boundary is your Necromech. But you can use energy pads and health pads to keep your operator alive. Know that this has no effect on your mech, but this will be useful to get to pylons and killing them quickly, as well as keeping your operator alive, because it will reset you back to your Warframe spawn if it dies. Do keep these pads in mind as they will be very useful later on when I explain possible strategies to handle this fight. Now what are the rewards for this operation? Well, Father in the Necrolisk has the Orphix Venom shop. This shop is pretty much identical to the Scarlet Spear one with a few extra bonuses. This shop also includes the Lavos blueprint and parts, as well as the Cedo blueprint and parts, a rifle, the new mech part skins, a couple new Necromech mods, which I will highlight Necromech Rage, giving you extra energy back on health damage taken, as well as Necromech Repair, which automatically gives you a passive heal when your HP runs low. These two I strongly recommend picking up as they have very strong synergies together, and because DE has removed any other way to heal your Necromechs when this update dropped. Together, they work very well also to keep your Arcubex energy sustained so that you can keep pounding away at the Orphixes. You shouldn't be in your Necromech much as it can't be healed in any other way, so even a low health mech can still survive through Necromech Repair. The Necromech enemy sense may be mildly useful in future applications, but I don't really see a use of it in this operation, as if you're fast enough you can ignore most of the enemy spawns and just pound away at the Orphix and the Resonator. The rest of the Necromech mods are all useless, so just pick them up for completionist's sake. Other things in the store include a new operation glyph and the return of the CT Lacera and Bazimut, as well as Stance Forma and the Ballroom Simulacrum if you missed it the first time around. All Eidolon arcanes are in the store. This means it does not include the operator arcanes you get from Onko or Little Duck, and also excludes all arcanes dropping from the arbitrations. All bronze arcanes cost 200 phasic cells, silver ones cost 300, and gold ones cost 400. The legendary ones for Energized Grace and Barrier cost 800 each. So now the big question, how does this operation compare to Scarlet Spear for rewards? I'm going to take a look at min-max scenarios because that makes it a lot easier to get baselines to compare. On Scarlet Spear, in the perfect scenario, you could get 25 energizes in 3 hours, as one rotation on a relay took 3 hours. So this comes out to about 8.33 energizes per hour, or 2.5 hours to get a maxed out rank 5 energize. In this operation, it takes at least 54 minutes to do 36 Orphixes. Doing a full clear nets you 19,453 points, which translates into 1,945 phasic cells. One Energize, as I said, costs 800 Phasics, so one full run is enough to get 2.43 Energizes in 54 minutes. This means you get 2.7 Energizes per hour, or 7.8 hours to get one rank 5 Energize. Remember, Scarlet Spear took only 2.5 hours to get a rank 5. But don't fret, if we take a look at Eidolons, it takes on average 420 Hydralisks to get 21 Energized to max it out. Assuming you do 6x3 every single night, that's 70 night cycles. If you completely ignore the time lost due to daytime, you still have to run nearly 60 hours of night cycles just to get a rank 5 Energize. So if you compare the two operations to Eidolons, Scarlet Spear's 23.3 times more efficient than Eidolons. Orphix Venom is 7.5 times more efficient than Eidolons. So if you are trying to target Grace, Energize, Guardian, or whatever arcane you specifically want, it is still significantly faster. Even though this new operation is nearly 3 times slower than Scarlet Spear, it is still definitely worth your effort. So I would strongly recommend grinding this event to stockpile or get all the arcanes you need. Now for the actual mission. When you load in, you're going to head to the first spawn area. It takes a little bit of time for the first Orphix to appear so you can dawdle around a little bit, but generally it will spawn in the first large open tile. There is actually a fixed spawn pattern for these Orphixes just like Scarlet Spear. I will name each unique spawn in the chronological order. The first 4 Orphixes will always spawn in the order of 1, 2, 3, 3. Then after that, the 5th Orphix onwards can follow one of 2 following patterns as shown on the screen. There is the Alpha and the Beta pattern. There's no way to tell which one it may be, so your best bet is to split your team up back to spawn 1 or spawn 2 for the 5th Orphix until you realize which pattern it is. And then the cycle repeats. So if you stick to this and have it memorized, you will be able to arrive at the next Orphix before it spawns, letting you immediately set up the next rotation and being able to keep up the flow of the fight faster. One thing that sets this event apart from Scarlet Spear is these spawn timers are fixed. The Orphix does not increase or decrease the amount of time it takes for the next one to spawn based on your previous clear. It's like excavators, no matter how fast or slow you go, it will spawn no matter what at its chosen time. Even the slower runs will still be less than an hour. Once you get to the Orphix, its mouth will be closed and it spawns Orphix Resonators. As I said before, they look like ESO Essence but red. They can spawn anywhere on that tile and generally around the edges near the doors or walkways or walls. They function just like Profit Taker pylons and have markers that show through their terrain of their exact location. You cannot damage the Orphix until you destroy them. Fluctus can shoot through walls to hit them from anywhere, but you need to aim a little bit lower than the actual enemy marker as it appears slightly above the resonator itself. Your operator will still probably be faster due to these hitbox problems and just due to the flexibility of operator void dashing compared to what mechs can do. Once you destroy all of the resonators, the Orphix will open its mouth and you can now damage it. You can only hit it from the front, unlike the Chondrixes, as punch through is extremely buggy on the Orphix from the back or the sides. Save your Arcubex for this moment. Don't bring Bone Widow as she is near useless for dealing with the sentients and you don't even need to kill them if you kill the Orphix fast enough. The Orphix is by far the tankiest thing in this mission and everything else pales in comparison to the damage your Arcubex can output. You will want to mod your Arcubex for corrosive damage as the Orphix shares the same armor and flesh type as Chondrix, with a primary weakness to corrosive. When it reaches 50% HP, its mouth will close again and it will spawn more Orphix Resonators to protect it. Destroy them all and then come back to shoot its mouth and finish the job. Mostalon is the best way to deal with the Orphix aside from the Arcubex due to its high damage per bullet as well as its high fire rate. Imperator Vandal comes as a close third. All other Archguns pale in comparison. You can still kill the 36 Orphix with a Mostalon in a decent amount of time of about 30 seconds or less. So you do not need Rivens to do this operation. After you kill to the Orphix, head to the next spawn. As I said, the spawn gaps are fixed like the Extractors, so if you can predict it, you can be there right away and be ready to immediately destroy the Resonators once the Orphix spawns. There is also only one spawn location on each type of tile, so once you've seen where the Orphix can't spawn on that tile, it will always spawn there for the rest of the mission and future attempts at the operation. Expect a full run of all 36 Orphixes to take you somewhere between 55 minutes to an hour. Once you get the hang of it, it should only take 55 minutes. As I said, this will reward you with 1,945 Phasic cells. Currently, the score on your profile does track this operation, but only keeps the highest score from a single given run and not the cumulative total like Scarlet Spear did. Magus Melt helps a lot to one-shot the Resonators, acting like an elemental mod bonus for your amp. Elevate and Repair is useless because you're pretty much spending the entire fight in your operator void dashing around or in your mech. Therefore, you can drop Elevator Repair for Magus Melt. Lockdown helps immensely to keep the enemies at bay when your teammates are using the Arcubex on the Orphix. So generally, I would recommend one person on lockdown duty when you get to the DPS phase on the Orphix. Because of this, I run Melt and Lockdown on my operator. For my amp, I run Replac and Clamora, as Clamora can instantly shred the Resonators when you're in range. Replac can generally 1 or 2 shot them and has extremely high range, except it has pinpoint beam-like accuracy, so you can't even miss a tiny bit. The only relevant scaffold is Fad because it can one-shot Resonators just like Pylons and Profit Taker, but if you can use Fad, you can already use Replac. Now for some extra tips for this operation. Killing the Orphix will reset your sentient control bar to 0, giving you an easy clear no matter how high it is, 90%, 70%, even 99%, it'll go back to 0. But this only applies if there are no other Orphixes present. Just like Excavators, if you take too long, the next Orphix will spawn. So if you kill an Orphix, but another one is already present on a different tile, you will not get this reset bonus. Killing an Orphix when another one is still present will only cut down on your sentient control bar by 30%. This is still much more than you'll get by killing off the sentients themselves, so generally it is always better to focus and burst down the Orphix when you can, as it will also kill all sentients nearby when it dies. If you are too slow, another Orphix will spawn and the sentients over there will continue to increase your sentient control bar despite you destroying this Orphix. This becomes more relevant on the later Orphixes once they become a bit tankier and you may not always be able to clear it out before the next one spawns, so you really need to keep an eye out on the sentient control or just burst down the Orphix as much as possible so that you can reset that bar. Another tip is this orange neutralizer aura that the Orphix produces will remove all present abilities within its range, so don't even bother trying to pre-place Volt Shield to get extra damage on the Orphix, or Wisp Motes in the area so mechs can pick them up and heal or get speed buffs. All of these will be removed as soon as the Orphix spawns when the aura expands. As I said before, when you're DPSing the later Orphixes that are much tankier, have one person stay an operator to lock down the nearby enemies so that your teammates can just Arcubex the Orphix without risk of taking damage and dying. If your mech dies, it has a 1 minute cooldown before you can respawn it. This is a nice plus side compared to the Oplinks in Scarlet Spear where they would be permanently dead once they're destroyed. Now, you can never have a new operation without having bugs. Despite the hotfix, you can still end up with 2 people in the same mech, and this becomes really buggy and you will lose the person in your squad for the time being. Generally, this happens after a person dies and they try to revive, and they won't be able to revive for that duration of about 1 minute to 2 minutes. Once they do, neither of the 2 people will be able to exit their necromechs if they spawn them again. This also won't even fix if you die, so you're pretty much stuck in your mech if you spawn it until the end of the mission, or if your mech dies again. If this bug happens, just stop spawning your mech. It will take you forever to get from place to place, and you will be much more useful just staying in your operator to dash to the next predicted spawn or dashing to the Resonators to destroy them. The hosts will never bug out in this way, so make sure that they have a fully leveled up Arcubex for maximum damage output, as they will always be the fallback DPS against the Orphix. A properly modded Rivenless Mossalon can still kill the 36 Orphix in a reasonable amount of time if nobody has their Arcubex up. But you should still try to get back to using the Arcubex whenever possible, as it is much faster and safer, giving you better odds of getting a sentient control bar reset, as well as reducing odds of Necromechs being destroyed from incoming damage. As a reminder, make sure that your Void Drake has Necromech Streamline and Necromech Flow so you can spam Arcubex more easily. Tell me what you think of this operation in the comments. Smash that like button or subscribe. Thank you all for watching. That'll be it for this video. See you all next time.